Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Blues podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and your number one source for daily Blues content. It is opening night of the regular season. We got a great episode for you today. I'm Josh Hyman.
And I'm Thomas Welch.
And like I said, opening night of the regular season, the Penguins Lightning game is going on right in the other room, middle of the second period. So we're going to be reacting to that pretty much live, reacting to the ESPN broadcast and all the things they're doing right and why we think this game has, that is hockey, has a big chance to grow this year. But before we get into that, I want to tell you guys about Rock Auto, because this episode is brought to you by them. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. All right, Tommy. I don't know if you got a chance to tune into any of the pregame stuff before the game, that Greg Wyshynski's show that he was doing. But right off the bat, ESPN was making me laugh, getting me excited for hockey. What are your thoughts overall on the product that ESPN is throwing out so far?
So unfortunately, I did get off work a little bit late, so I did miss the pregame stuff. But when I did come in, just kind of witnessing everything that ESPN is doing. Obviously, they're the worldwide entertainer in sports for a reason. They're the cream of the crop as much as they come in terms of content creation. And right off the jump, you see them take an opportunity to mic up Pat Maroon, who we've seen over the last couple of years, especially in this three-peat, the amount of personality that he has. And I feel like as much as NHL Network and like the league as a whole try to tap into that, they haven't really done that good of a job. He's kind of sculpted that personality for himself, but ESPN could really be beneficial for a guy like Pat Maroon to kind of skyrocket his stock, his jersey sales, and his persona as a whole. And we kind of saw that mirrored with Austin Matthew. Day one of opening night, they're like, hey, we're going to put an American-born NHL superstar on the cover of ESPN magazine. He's not going to be wearing a suit like the players do when they show up to games. He's not going to be wearing his uniform. He's going to be wearing whatever he wants to wear and showing off his style and showing off his personality. And if you haven't seen the cover of that ESPN magazine, I'll go check it out right now because it is incredible. He's wearing a bucket hat, a tie-dye shirt that says Nike on it. He's got his jeans on, a little bit faded. He's just holding a pure white hockey stick with a splash of color in the background too. So, I mean, it's kind of what we expected from ESPN. They're right out of the gate and they're firing from all cylinders. So I would expect this to continue throughout the entire season. I think the panel looks amazing. Chelios and Messier banter back and forth is something that I think every hockey fan can get behind. So I've got nothing bad to say right now. We'll see what happens 82 games down the road, but I'm very hopeful for this product and I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I turned on the ESPN Plus at 7:05, thinking, oh yeah, the game's at 7, and it was at 7:30. So normally I was like, oh, I'll just flip it off. But all of a sudden I see Greg Wyshynski and his co-host, whose name I don't remember, but I'm sure I'll get to know as the year goes on, just sitting on a couch in sweaters, cracking jokes about hockey. I'm like, wow, this is so far from what I'm used to. I'm used to seeing, for lack of a better term, the old heads in hockey sitting around the table in suits discussing the same points that they've been discussing all year, and it got a little tiresome and a little bland. So I've never really felt it necessary to watch the pregame before. I felt like I knew what they were going to say, and this year, turning it on, seeing, like I said, they're just cracking jokes, but also talking about Ovechkin and the goal chase. They're hitting all the points that they need to hit. All the points that'll get people excited if, like me, they're just flipping through and happen to stop on the channel for a second. If you see, something like that, the fact that Alex Ovechkin is primed to beat one of the most unbreakable records in sports in just a few seasons, that's a good way to bring fans in. That's a good way to catch the eye of people. They're not playing up matchups for tonight's game that aren't really rivalries because it's opening night and they're focusing on the long-term outlook of it. And I think just overall, they did a really good job. Not to mention the broadcast itself. The game has been very entertaining. I think the camera work has been good. Scoreboard's sleek, clean. I'm excited to watch more of it.
I will say the only thing I would like about the score bug is shot tracker. That's the only
Of
thing I think
course.
they're missing right now. But anytime you're not going to have a shot tracker, I think you're going to get some people up in arms. But yeah, like you said, other than that, the graphics look amazing. The transitions look fire. They're utilizing their cameras very well. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of promise with this broadcast. I think there's a lot of room for expansion and what they can
Oh,
cover
of
because
course.
like you said with the old heads, it just felt like you knew it was coming every time, and it did get very dry and very vanilla. And I feel like with a product that's backed by ESPN and obviously TNT will come with it too, um, that is probably the last thing that's ever going to happen with the
Right.
NHL now is we get to a sense where it's feeling dry and unentertaining because that's ESPN's entire business is entertainment. So if they're
Yeah,
not being
I mean,
entertained,
I can't scroll. I can't scroll from one game to the next without having a Stephen A. Smith clip autoplay telling me to subscribe to ESPN Plus to hear all my hot takes. Like it's what they go for. They, complain about those guys all you want, but they get clicks. They're entertaining to watch. It's the only talk show that I watch is ESPN Plus shows. Um, so the fact that they're putting forward this product for something as unfortunately niche as hockey, which I in my opinion is in terms of the big four sports in this country, they got a big step below the rest. I think the passionate hockey fans are more passionate than most other sports, but I don't know. You walk down the street, ask any sports fan, "Hey, do you know who this is?" Show them a picture of Connor McDavid. They won't, and that's a crime. So I'm glad that this year, hopefully, there's going to be some more emphasis on, like you said, not just promoting the game, but promoting players, promoting player personalities as well, because that's something that's been lacking for a long time in this league, for sure. But I know you have some ideas for who's going to be the biggest personality this year. I have some ideas for who's going to be the biggest personality this year. BetOnline doesn't have a prop bet for that, but they have so many other prop bets that you could put your money on. You need to check them out at betonline.ag. They are back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron and now the rink, as well as teams are back in action for their football and hockey season. Plus, baseball's getting into the conference series, so everything's getting exciting now. And as always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college sports action this season. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything sports. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Don't forget to use promo code LOCKED ON to receive your bonus from football, basketball, boxing, hockey, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts. And now, if you're going to be placing bets and you're going to be, following them, you got to have some way to watch them. And I know if you got to bet on a football game, a bet on a basketball game, a bet on a hockey game, you don't want to be switching between remotes and apps and all that. You want to actually catch the game. So you need to get yourself a DirecTV Stream. DirecTV Stream is a great way to get your TV together. It brings live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and all shows in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no need to buy another device ever again, and the best part, there is no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That's directv.com, and compatible device required. Content varies by package. All right, Tommy. Heading into that break, we were talking about player personality, and obviously Auston Matthews is a prime candidate, making his ESPN magazine debut. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few more diamonds in the rough of players that we didn't really expect to make a name for themselves in the personality department, going to go out and show out this year. Maybe some flashy outfits, funny interviews, funny behind the scenes content. Who do you think on the Blues and then just in the league in general is going to stand out in terms of a big personality this season?
yeah. So I think one thing to kind of notice about obviously it's one day into the season, right? But I do think because ESPN is a American centered provider that they are going to not that they're only going to push American born hockey players, but that I think one of their goals for this season and seasons moving forward is not only to grow the sport of hockey, but especially grow it in America, because obviously there is a rich history of hockey in Canada, and America is always potentially going to be trying to play catch up there. So I think they want to level that playing field a little bit, and I think a good way to do that is bring out the superstar qualities of American-born hockey players. So I think doing the Austin Matthews cover like they did right off the jump is a fantastic idea. But going along with that, my number one is actually two. So I have a number one and a number two, but they're 1A and 1B.
Okay.
But honorable mention is going to be Elias Pettersson, just because I think he follows kind of the same projection as Austin Matthews. Like, he's a sniper. He's a guy that's going to go out, score a lot of goals. Even if Vancouver isn't the best team in the league this season, I think his personality and his style, if you've looked at his Instagram, the dude just loves dressing out of his mind, will be a good spot for all fans to kind of flock to. So
Absolutely.
I think that's honorable mention. But the biggest one for me that I think the NHL has tried to tap into but hasn't done a good enough job, if you think about it. So the NFL has always had a rich history of families in the NFL, and so right now one of the biggest families is the Watt brothers. You've got TJ and JJ, who just both look like they are just absolute monsters tearing up the field every time they go out, and they do a good job of promoting both of those guys. I think what you have with the Kachuk brothers, given their rich history with their family and the rich history with St. Louis and where they're both at right now in Canadian markets, is a perfect way for ESPN to not only build its notoriety in both Canadian and American markets, but to kind of display the fact that like these guys are brothers, very close in age, very young, and they're absolute superstars and essentially the face of their franchise. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think the NHL. I think the NHL realized what they had with them, but didn't do a good job of. Didn't do a good enough job of promoting it. I think I think that ESPN is going to blow it out of the water.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all the points you made there were perfect. So many different avenues that ESPN could take in terms of running their game, whether they want to stress the American-born players with someone like Austin Matthews leading the charge. Like we said, being sort of the primary candidate when we think of personality and dress and snazzy and being on magazine covers. The fact that he's American-born is even better from that aspect. But the other part of it is hockey is so rich in culture and diversity, unlike basketball and football, and even baseball per se. There's so many different countries that all come together for a team, and as a result, you get so many different personalities. I mean, Pavel Buchnevich is on the Blues. His nickname is Magnets because he has a big magnet collection. How many other tidbits are there like that are going to come out this year because of the hopefully increased interview quality and increased coverage and all that stuff. So not only are we going to be getting exposed to great American-born players with great styles from overseas are going to be introduced. We're going to be starting seeing some Swedish fashion, like Henrik Lundqvist was so famous for bringing to the forefront. Russian fashion, just it doesn't stop, and I think that's one of the most exciting parts of hockey is how you could have 5 guys on the ice at the same time, and none of them have the same native language, but yet they play like a cohesive unit and make such a fun product to watch. So one of the reasons why I'm really excited about ESPN this year as well.
Yeah, I feel that. And so you also asked about who I think would be the biggest candidate to kind of be a superstar breakout for the St. Louis Blues. And as much as how do I phrase this? I think the easy answer here is Ryan O'Reilly. The reason that I'm not going to go with Ryan O'Reilly is because, so here's what I'm looking at, right? So the car commercials with Pat Maroon, absolutely fantastic, electric. He has a script, obviously, but I think it kind of showed like his personality and type of fun-loving guy that he is. I think the problem is I don't know if, because he's an older player and because he's been in the league for so long and because of his demeanor in the locker room and like being a captain and all of those things, I don't know if he'll be able to kind of break the mold that he's been sculpted into, if that makes sense. So like they go through classes on like how to talk to the media and like you kind of just get into a routine of not portraying your entire personality as a hockey player just because that spotlight is on you so much. And you like as a leader and as a hockey player, there are some players that love to be in the center of the spotlight and love to have everyone looking at them. And I think there are other players that don't particularly enjoy that. And I don't really know where Ryan O'Reilly lies.
Did you hear him during his mic'd up during practice? He was
but I mean, it
saying
was
he's gonna
good,
score
but I've
60,
heard a
60
lot better than
70.
Mike Trout.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
don't know. But I mean, at least from the fashion standpoint, I think O'Reilly's got it on
I
lock with
agree.
his
I
big
agree.
fancy hats. I think it could be Jordan Binnington, maybe.
Yeah, because that hype
Maybe.
video he was doing the 2C slide.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
that's some superstar potential right there. Calling out Justin
Absolutely.
Bieber, that's some superstar potential right there.
Especially if he is able to like sort of have a bounce back year and people get off his back, because everyone's favorite thing to do is slander Jordan Binnington. But if he's able to sort of not only bounce back this year, but also, be a face in the media and sort of turn the tide on him a little bit, show that he's got a good personality, he's able to make some jokes. And yeah, maybe on the ice he's a little heated and likes to fake punch people, but I
But
think
also
that
going out there in the handshakes, wearing Nolan Stevens gear and like the helmet and everything,
right,
like that's
exactly,
dude,
that's
that's superstar
hilarious.
potential. I
That's
think
that
that's honestly, if I was
exactly.
gonna go with a top pick, that would probably you convinced me, Josh. That's
Thank
probably
you,
number one.
thank you.
And
And
even after
now
he did that 2C slide video, I was like, this guy wants to be in the spotlight. And his name's Biz Nasty because
been
he
nasty.
loved Biz. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
or Bin Nasty, yeah, because he loved Biz. So I
So
think
exactly, that's
if he's
perfect.
gonna follow that same trajectory, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I did a good job convincing you, but hopefully now I can convince everybody listening to go check out Rock Auto, because this episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry, when you have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket? Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and Rock Auto prices are always reliably low for every single customer. They have everything you could need, from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. So go explore their easy-to-use website today and find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, right locked on in their How Did You Hear Us box, so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. And when we come back, Tommy and I are going to be continuing our way too early awards predictions and be giving our picks for the Norris and the Vezina trophy. So don't go anywhere. All right, Tommy, we're getting near the end of this episode, and I know the game is on. Both want to get back to it. So real quick, starting with the Norris, best defenseman in the NHL. Who's your pick and why?
I think my pick is also. Oh man,
I should let you go
now this
first,
is
'cause I
gonna
feel
be
like you're going to take my pick.
probably, but it's gonna. Oh, man, so I picked Colorado Avalanche for the Stanley Cup champions, right? And I picked Nathan McKinnon for the Hart Trophy. Bro, I kind of want to pick Cale Makar for the Norris.
No, I called dibs on Cale Makar. Mentally,
You
right? When I
have to,
asked
though.
that
Like,
question.
what that guy brings to the table in terms of his
Yeah.
skating ability and the way that he sees the ice, his passing ability, and his scoring ability, like, it's hard to say he's going to go out there and be anything less than unimpressive, especially after coming so close last season. If he's anywhere in like the finalists, I think voters will want to give it to him just because he was so close and because he hasn't won it yet. Kind of like we talked about with the Hart too.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
mean,
going to
I
go with
think
Cale Makar.
Cale Makar is a good choice. If I'm not going to go with Cale Makar and not going to go with any of like the big obvious names, I think maybe a dark horse candidate is Shea Theodore. I think he really came out and established himself as Vegas's number one defenseman that last year, and that's a team that has Alex Pietrangelo on it. So
Yep.
the fact that he was able to do that and sort of not get the coverage that he deserved, plus with the fact that I think the Norris is one of the most media-driven awards that the NHL has, just because they seemingly give it to the, like you said, the next best guy who hasn't already won it. I think that if he's able to go off in a big market like Vegas, and gets his name, thrown around a lot all year, people start realizing who he is. And if Cale Makar maybe doesn't have the best year like I think he's going to have, I could definitely see Shea Theodore up there in conversations for the Norris. Now, what about the Vezina? This is a tough one.
That is a tough one. I think, honestly, man, I think because of the offseason that they had, I really liked what Winnipeg did in terms of building their team, and so I think an easy pick would be going back to Connor Hellebuck and saying, "Hey, you're one of the best goalies in the league. You're going to show out because you're actually going to have a little bit more help this season than you did last season, and get a couple shutouts here and there. If the Winnipeg Jets make the playoffs and they have a very good season and kind of exceed expectations." Because it doesn't seem like a lot of people have them on their radar as like a Stanley Cup contender, which I don't blame them. But I think if they're kind of even on the fringe of being a Stanley Cup contender, or like some people pick them for being a dark horse for the Stanley Cup, I think a big reason for that will be Connor Hellebuck. And so for that reason, Vezina Trophy.
Yeah, Hellebuck's a good choice. I mean, there's the obvious names, of course. I mean, I've said Jordan. I think Jordan Binnington's
I was
going to
gonna
have his
say,
name in there. I don't know about winning it. Let's see. Part of me wants to say Carey Price. Part of me wants to say he's going to ride that momentum of taking his team to the Cup final, play at that same level. I mean, we haven't seen the Carey Price.
That would be such a cool story too.
The Carey Price that we saw in that playoff run that the Canadians have was the Carey Price that we saw however long ago he won the Hart Trophy, and everyone says, "Oh, he's only considered good because of that one season." That was the Carey Price we saw for parts of that playoff run. Obviously, towards the end, the wheels fell off, but it's the Tampa Bay Lightning. What can you do? I would love to see him come in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, especially with that rivalry with Carolina that they're going to have all year. I'm
thinking about him missing time to like deal with his mental health, and he comes back and plays like an absolute weapon and just steals the Vezina. And it's not even like, dude, that would be such a cool story.
Yep. Yeah, you took my final point out of my
That'd be so
out of
dumb.
my mouth, but agreed.
Sorry.
I mean, that's why we're co-hosts. We got that chemistry.
We got that bing. Yeah, there you go.
Finish each other's
sandwiches.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. So speaking of, you made me lose my train of thought. No, but I mean, if hopefully he his absence isn't too long, he's able to come back, a month or so into the season and play the Carey Price workload. Still gets 50 plus games in there, whatever, depending on how long he misses, and like I said, steals the show. I would love to see that. Again, another media-driven award, and I think with that story, not just the whole mental health thing, but the fact that he's sort of been at that peak before and hadn't returned to it since, and then all of a sudden makes a Stanley Cup, goes on a run. I think that would be a great story. And like I said, the Canadians are a very popular team with some very passionate fans, and what better way to grow the game than have them have a successful season led by who I think has, when he's at his peak, one of the best hockey players in the world.
You know who else would be a fun pick for Vezina? It would definitely be a dark horse pick, and a lot of dominoes would have to fall for this to happen. Carter Hutton? No, I was thinking John Gibson would be awesome if he somehow made, because he's always he's on such a bad team.
If the youth of the Ducks
always near the top,
big step, I could see that.
Even if he just was like, you know what, screw this. You guys aren't going to help me out defensively. I'm just never going to let any pucks in. And because he kind of already does that. And if he takes it to a next level this season, dude, that would just be unreal to see a guy on a team that kind of fails him, for lack of a better word, so much. But he's like, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself and then win a Vezina. That'd be wild.
Yeah, that would be a good story. A lot of good storylines. And part of the reason why I'm so excited about, like I said, the new broadcast, the new coverage. But speaking of, I think the third period is rapidly approaching. I think that's all the time that we have today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the first episode of the regular season for the Locked On Blues podcast. We're really excited to be covering the Blues live on YouTube every single time they play. It's going to be a great time. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way, whenever we go live, because we're doing our episodes live, you can watch it and join with us, ask us questions in the chat. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and subscribe to us on all your podcast platforms, because even though we are on YouTube, we still have a podcast that you can listen to whenever you're not able to watch our beautiful faces. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Hyman NHL. Follow Tommy at TWelsher15. Thanks so much for listening. Can't wait for Saturday, first game of the season. And as always, let's